Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Ropes TV. Joined by myself, Ray, and Josh. Josh, how are you doing?
Very good, mate. Finally, we've got an exciting card to talk about.
We've got the Sky card that we're just going to go through. Guys, before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. But I'm going to go straight into this one. This is a big fight card, isn't it? In Bournemouth, Chris Billam-smith and Isaac Chamberlain are headlining this one. What a domestic fight this is. Josh, how do you see that fight going?
Well, I'll be honest. I think, although Isaac Chamberlain's coming in some decent form, he lost to Lawrence Okoli and it was a stinker, let's be honest. He's had 5 wins since over the last sort of few years. And his last win against Prazovic was an impressive win. I thought, he handled itself well. And I think he's done the right thing. He's gone away. He's rebuilt on the smaller shows with Hennessy on Channel 5. And I always respect a fighter that does that. I think it shows a lot that they want.
Made changes to his camp as well, hasn't he, Josh? Isaac Chamberlain.
Yes. Yeah, I was just about to say, he's made changes he's done it the right way. So I think, a lot of respect needs to be put on Isaac Chamberlain's name. But I think this is as close as he's going to get to a world title fight, I'll be brutally honest. He's coming into it with a record of 14-1, 8 stoppage wins, a few of them recent as well. And I do rate him, but for me, Chris Billam-smith is an absolute talent. I've been a big fan of his, certainly the last few years, for as long as I can sort of remember watching him really, and picked him up quite early in his career as a fan. And I just think the last 2 or 3 years, the developments that he's made with Shane McGuigan and Josh Pritchard, he's really starting to show some classy work.
Has he come on since the Riakpo defeat?
I think so. I think, as he's shown in his last couple of wins, obviously with Tommy McCarthy, and obviously the win over,
hasn't he?
It has, yeah, and the win over Dylan Breggy, and obviously that was sandwiched it. That was a little bit disappointing, but I do also think harder to get up for after a McCarthy fight. And and then his more recent fight against Tommy McCarthy, where he got the stoppage win, he just looked like a man that wouldn't be denied. And I like that. I like to see it. The McGuigan camp, let's be fair, is absolutely buzzing at the minute, from prospects through to world level. It's one of the best stables in the country. And I think, just in case there is any doubt, the deciding factor for me is the fact that it's in Bournemouth. It's in his hometown. He's made no secret that he's wanted to fight in Bournemouth for a fair few years. Eddie Hearn couldn't quite make it work for him, but this is an opportunity for him over on Sky. And although it's a one-fight deal, this is an opportunity for him to be the headline act. And let's be fair also, if this doesn't do good numbers, it's done good ticket sales, if it does good numbers viewing-wise and interaction this week, he's going to get a good contract, isn't he? Whether it be back on the Zone, on Sky, who knows? But this is, for me, this could very well be Chris Billam-smith's coming out party.
And if it is that, if it does go to plan to what you say it does, and he does make that statement win against Isaac Chamberlain, who's no mug. I mean, he got that good win against Wadi Camacho, which was straight after the Lawrence Okoli defeat, and that could have demoralised them, the Lawrence Okoli defeat, because they were big rivals. So he takes on Isaac Chamberlain, who's got a good record. That's the point I'm trying to make there.
With his shoulder issues there as well, Ray.
Yeah. The shoulder issues. It popped out. It popped out earlier on, didn't it? It was Luke Watkins. He beat after Lawrence Okoli, but it popped out against Wadi Camacho, which was a few fights earlier on, and he still got that win. But the point is that Chris Billam-smith, should he get that win, he looked good doing so. You're on about he's in a good position with either the Zone or Sky. How big does that rematch potentially with Riakpo become?
Huge, particularly if it's with Sky, because let's be fair, Riakpo's at that point now after the Fabio Turchi win that if they don't get him a world title fight next, who does he fight? The only other fight for me that he could take, and it would get some respect, we spoke about it at the time, would be Jack Massey for that IBO world title. Because whatever you think of the IBO situation, it's still a slice of the world title picture, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. And absolutely it is. It is. And it's still another bargaining chip for negotiating for the 4 recognised if we're going to use that term, governing bodies, isn't it? The fact that he's sitting there with those belts, with the IBO added to that. So it makes for a really intriguing matchup on the domestic level, doesn't it?
I really think it does, yeah. So, but I think, and I think, to be fair, billam-smith, I think he'd be in a similar situation. If he beats Chamberlain, you've got him, Massey, and Riatpour. Really, they're all in a similar situation of its world title or each other, or you're in a fight that you're going to struggle to be motivated for. What else do you do? So that's the situation. But Sky can get it done. They can get the fights made. And for a prediction, I'm going billam-smith on points.
Billam-smith on points. I'm going to go for billam-smith to stop Isaac Chamberlain. Look, Isaac Chamberlain has improved a lot, but I don't think, for me, he's big enough and imposing enough at cruiserweight. I think that was telling in the Lawrence Okoli loss. Their attributes Chris billam-smith has an abundance, so I see him stopping Isaac Chamberlain. But moving down the card, Josh, because it is stacked full of talent coming through, isn't it? I mean, we'll talk about one of those fighters, Joe Pickford, for example. This is a big opportunity for Joe, isn't it?
Huge opportunity. He's got a reputation as a puncher at 154. He's on a 16 knockout streak, which, regardless of the opposition, that takes some doing, so it's impressive. And obviously, it's, your world rankings are there, isn't it? WBO European title. And for me, Joe Pickford's on that. He's on the cusp. There's some big fights. We talk a lot on this channel, inevitably, about that 154 division. And he's right in there with a shout, isn't he? Particularly with a win on Saturday.
Yeah, and it just adds and makes it more interesting, doesn't it? But the good thing about Joe is he's doing it in front of the Sky cameras, so that's always that always adds clamour to make a potential fight, doesn't it? If he gets in front of the Sky cameras and the audience start clamoring for that fight, so that's going to be one to look out for. Also, you've got Fraser Clark on the card. Ben Whittaker making his debut as well. Caroline Dubois. I mean, in terms of potential, because we haven't got much to go off on those guys. Ben Whittaker, we only know his amateur pedigree, which is outstanding. And Caroline Dubois has fought a couple of times. And Fraser Clark's had a bout. So, but in terms of potential, how do you rate these guys, Josh?
I seriously rate all three. I mean, Fraser Clark, very well documented, been a sparring partner for AJ, amongst other names, bronze medal at the Olympics, but I think he's got some serious talent. With his age, he's 30, so he has got a kick on. And obviously it's disappointing for him. He had that sort of strange win, obviously, where they plucked a guy out of the weigh-in for him to fight. But, he still did what he had to do, in fairness. He didn't let it affect him. He got the debut out the way. He's then had his injury, which is unfortunate. But Fraser Clark's back. Obviously, I will say I'm excited about the whole card. But by the main event, I do think it's, as we say on here, it's very left side of the column dominated, isn't it, in fairness?
It is. Apart from one fight in particular, you got John Doherty against Diego Costa. Now, I'm really, really excited for this fight. John Doherty, people might remember, he used to be with Matchroom. He was on a pretty impressive streak until he ran into Jack Cullen at Fight Camp a couple of years ago. And if you remember, Josh, he lost that fight. But he's in with Diego Costa, who's no mug. He's had 8 fights since he turned pro in 2017, and it's kind of now or never for John Doherty. Would you say, Josh?
Mate, I totally agree. I mean, as we were just saying, we've also got Hassan Azim. We should say we'll be looking to keep pace with his brother. But John Doherty, this fight for me, it's got potential show stealer all over it. I really think it has, because it's going under the radar a little bit. I think it's probably, Sky, I think, are possibly guilty this year of putting on some great fights, but mixing it in with the big names of the stable, if you like. And certain fights are going under the radar and not getting the attention they possibly should. And this, for me, is absolutely one of them. It's a now or never fight, isn't it, for John Doherty? He's got the chance to prove himself and kick on. And it really, for me, it really is win or bust, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's not necessarily a case of just getting a win. I think he's also got to look good doing so. We need to see that explosive John Doherty that we saw earlier on when he first turned over. When he looked really, really powerful. There was talk about a big fight between him and Willie Hutchinson. There was a little bit of a race to see who can get there. We know what happened to Willie Hutchinson. He came unstuck against Lennox Clark. But this, again, just like it is for Joe Pickford, it's a big chance for John Doherty, and we're hoping that he can grab it with both hands. And I think that fight, to be fair, could go either way. So although there is some fights where you can presume the winner, there's also that intriguing fight as well. Overall, a better card from Sky, Josh, just to end it on there, would you say?
100%. I think in fairness to Sky, people might criticise it being, left-hand heavy, but they're building a stable. Let's not forget they're 12 months removed from Matchroom going, taking the fighters with them. They're building an exciting stable with the Olympians they've signed, and, some more seasoned names as well recently with billam-smith, Liam Smith, and, Joe Parker and all the rest of it. So they're always going to have cards like this for the next 12 months, 2 years for me. It's a long-term plan what Sky are doing. And for me, as long as they've got a main event that's worth watching, and let's not forget, this is part of your Sky subscription as well, in all fairness. So, it's not like we're being asked to pay pay-per-view, whereas Rook Khan was slagged off for pay-per-view in a shocking undercard. It's a good card. We're going to get to see, the Pickford fight in particular, John Doherty, as we've just said. They're good fights. And then you're going to get to see some serious talent on their journey. And I'm a bit sad. I always like to watch a fighter from start to finish from their career. So I'm really excited about it. And, hats off to Ben Shalom and Adam Smith and that for where they've gone in the last 12 months. Because I think it's fair to say I don't think anybody would have guessed last June when it all fell apart with Matchroom that they'd be here with Olympians, serious talent on the stable. I don't think anyone would have guessed it.
That's true. They have come a long way, and they just got to keep on improving. The only way is up for Sky. But that's it. We'll call it a wrap there. Guys, as we said on our previous pre-records, this is a busy week for us. There's plenty more pre-records and plenty more content to come. Stay tuned.